So what about noxious weeds? So there is a saying, one of my favorite philosophers says that a weed is essentially a plant that just has not had its virtues discovered yet. And another person said that weeds are plants that just have not learned how to grow in a straight line. But what are some of the typical things that we could do as property owners? What are the noxious weeds that we want to look out for?
I would really
And when I
focus.
say noxious, just mean that they're going to take over like crazy.
I would say that poison ivy, it's subtle when it comes in. You don't know it's there. It's just poison ivy, poison oak, and not everybody knows how to identify it. Poison oak poison oak looks friendly. It's like a 3-leaf that's friendly. Poison ivy is a little more jagged, but those types of things can really just come up, and they're right there at the ground level, and then they're in where people are playing. The vines come in, and then
What about message? That's a worse.
yeah.
I mean,
That's got to be
I'm a
treated.
lawn guy, so that's the one in the summer.
That sedge is just
That's it, pops
so
up.
irritating.
So we get like sedgehammer.
Yep.
I forget what the chemical name is for it, but
That's
it's a little bitty packet, about
that
$12, and
Knock it out.
That is like the worst, and
it's real tempting to pull it out, which is the worst
Yeah.
thing to do.
See, what happens is typically when the areas these weeds will grow sometimes will be growing there because the root system is not strong enough to really keep them out. And what happens is you'll come in there and somebody will want their mowers or cutters are not always the most. They're just like, get in, get it done, get on with the next one, and
They're not spraying under their mower deck.
No, and
from the previous place that was eaten up.
Yes.
From the edge of your pesky place.
Yeah.
Unless you tell them.
Right. So, or they can spray their mower decks out and all that stuff. But what happens is
huh?
I just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you get older, man. No, it's good. It's good. I like the conversation. Oh, I was going to say, so what happens is you'll get an area that the root system isn't strong, start dying out. Then you'll get some crabgrass growing in, nutsedge growing in, and all of a sudden you've got a weed garden. And you're like, what the heck? And then you'll say, man, I thought the lawn guy sprayed for this. And he's like, oh, I did. And then he'll come back and he'll drop the whole thing on, and then you won't have a lawn at all. I don't know if y'all experience this. I see this all the time. It's like, oh my gosh. So you want to treat this fungus stuff. It's really important that you do that. You want to treat your lawn, and you want to make sure that your cutters care. That's a good slogan right there. Keep that. Somebody gonna make $1 million on that. Cutters care, right? They've probably got it. But but make sure that your cutters really care, because what's going to happen? They're going to come in there, going to zip, 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 zip. They'll be zipping around on the zero turns, and they'll be burning holes in your grass that you just paid a lot of money for to have the side. On when they spin the zero turns. I remember one time. This was in the early days when. I just started mowing. I was probably going into, I was just cutting on the weekends, trying to get out of the truck seat, trying to provide for the family, all the rest of it, just trying to make it. And I hired this guy. I'm like, hey, can you help me? He's like, oh man, he was telling me like he was the best weed eater in the world. I mean, he's like, man, that dude, I am it, man. I am your man. So anyway, so I pick him up. We're heading to the job site. I'm like, look, man. I said, listen, we're going to Miss Mary's house. And she's in Jolton, okay? We're going to Miss Mary's house. She's an older lady. She's got some flowers that she loves. I mean, probably her dead dog was planted under there, And I said, don't. You go around, you point everything out to the new guy, and he's like, oh man, I got this thing, man. I know how to edge and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay. Man, sure as well. I turn around, and dude, this guy mows them down. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, dude, those are Miss Mary's flowers. He's like, oh man, I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood you. I'm like, okay. All right, look. So I kind of pointed him out again, and we went through the whole process, and he's like, and sure in the world, he cut something else down. I'm like, and it started sprinkling. Thank God it started sprinkling. And we had a full day, and we got back in the truck. I was like, hey man, I said, are you done? He's like, yeah, we're done. I said, yep, we're done too. He's like, oh, we're quitting. I said, yeah, we are done. I took his butt home, man. We're done. We are done. I cut the rest by myself. But you got to have people. What I'm saying is, you got to have people that care. If you just got people, and that comes from the top. That's back to the same thing. Ride true, be the example. If the guy that is in charge of the company that you have hired, taking care and managing your property, doesn't give a crap about what they're doing, what his guys are doing, then your property is going to be jacked up for sure. So
let's talk about lessons of life. And, oftentimes, let's take probably 5 to 10 minutes to talk about things you've learned as a landscaper that are just, maybe a mindset for our audience here. Maybe you could talk about how oftentimes what we plant, maybe it doesn't bloom, or what grows is not what we expect, or, the kind of the zen of
right.
the life of a landscaper. Can you share some of your wisdom with us in that regard?
Everybody is going to come to Crossroads, and that's what I always go back to. I mean, I've been at Crossroads in my life, and that's what I call them. It's like they're intimidating. You don't know which way to go, which way to turn. You guys may be here tonight. You're trying to figure out. I'm at a crossroads. I'm at a crossroads with this building or the multifamily, or whether I should buy or not buy. And so we all have crossroads. And so when I come to Crossroads, I think about, what I've got to do is I've got to be the example. I've got to, find my faith to step out and lead. That's what I talk about when, I talk about riding true, being the example. Find the faith and to step out and lead, take the lead. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. But you got to do that. You've got to set the pace. And so if something doesn't go your way, Crossroads actually, in my opinion, are opportunities in disguise. It's an obstacle. Yes, it's intimidating, but how can we press through, man? Where's the opportunity here? Where's the what am I going to learn from this? How am I going to grow? So I think mindset has got to be what we change, when we come to these crossroads, because we're all going to have them. Whether you might be passing through one today or you might be in one tomorrow, we're going to have them. So I think it's so important just to have the right mindset. Don't look at the crossroads as an overwhelming moment. Just take a deep breath, and can we all do that right now? I was in an entertainment business on the road for about 12 years, but every time they teach you, every time before you step up on stage, you want to breathe in, exit, and this will help you before you go into business meetings. This is just a little side. So what you do is you go. All right, y'all with me? Here we go. We're gonna try this together in just a second. I'm gonna show you once. You want to sit up straight. You want to go like this. You go. Now let it all out, and breathe, of course. And so you want to do this. You want to do this sitting down, of course, and you want to do it 10 times, And so, believe it or not, I was in there doing this before I walked out, because I don't care who you are, how many stages you've been on. You're always going to get, you can translate the nervousness and put it into excitement, but you're always going to have those butterflies, and those are good. But yeah, so next time you're fixing to walk into a business meeting, just sit in the car for a second and go. And just do that 10 times. You'll feel better. You'll feel more relaxed. I don't do it in front of my wife because my nose whistles sometimes. It's just what happens when we get older. That's the way it is. But,
at least it's just your nose.
Yeah, but yeah. There's a lot of, it depends, right? But so, ride through those moments, be the example. If you get in a jam, be quick to make a decision to move forward. Don't sit there and live in this, oh my gosh. Don't just sit there and let this whole deal weight you down. Say, okay, we got to make some changes. What are the changes? Let's go. Boom, move. Because you want to do the whole leadership moment and roll. Because especially if you got people, your team following you, they need to see, man, this guy knows what he's doing. Let's go.
So do you have a question?
Yes, please. So you talked about starting, cutting 6 yards on Saturday. And as we've listened to you talk, it's obviously you're an expert at what you do. So can you give us an idea we know where you started, where you are today, what your company looks like, size, scope, areas that you work in?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened is I was driving the truck. So here's the whole story. I was doing some ministry work. My wife and I just stepped out from a church to start going to help kids. We were working with the youth, and I was on staff. I was making like $38,000 a year, and and so we just stepped out to start a place for kids who didn't have a place to go, because we were dealing with a lot of kids who were drug parents living in motels and that kind of stuff. So we had stepped out to do that. Had 30 churches lined up, because that's the vein we were in, to go sing. I sing, do some music, and speak at these churches. And this was in '08. The economy tanks. I'm like, what do you do now? Because everybody's like, oh yeah, we love what you're going to do. But I mean, here's a book, there's no money. I mean, here's the book, read the book. Yeah. And that's about all we could do to help out, and so we had a nonprofit. We still have a nonprofit, but so we went into that moment, and then I'm like, halfway through that year, even though we're still going down this vein, it's '08, nobody's got any money to give anybody. And I'm like, man, I got to do something. So I did have my CDL. I ended up driving a truck in Nashville. I was born and raised here. Drive a truck in Nashville. And then I about 2 years in the truck, I'm like, man, I got to get out of this truck seat so I can get back to my family and get back doing it. So I'm like, man, how am I going to get us? So one night I was laying in bed about 10 o'clock, and I was reading 48 Days of Work You Love. And I'm like, man, what do I love to do? And I'm like, I grew up on a farm with animals, love working outside, love hard work. My dad taught me, my dad's right here, George Runquist. So my dad taught me, and my son Josh, I was going to introduce him too. He's right. He's not allergic to poison ivy, so he leads.
Lucky.
My dad is super allergic to poison ivy.
That's called job security.
Yeah. Josh, George is our special project manager. Josh runs several of the crews, and he makes sure everything runs right in the field. So it's a family business.
So how many crews do you have?
We have 3 in house. We're building the 4th one out, and then we have the experts of the affiliates that we work with too. But as far as you answer your question, so
You do
the first year.
You do. I think she's wanting to know what you do now. If we want to hire you today,
Oh yeah,
what can we hire you to do today?
prep, landscaping, sod installation, grading, tree trimming, stump grinding,
Retaining
mulching,
walls.
retaining walls, fencing,
Full tree.
aluminum.
Right.
Yeah. Aluminum fence, wood fence, concrete sidewalks, concrete driveways. But I don't know if you were asking about the money side of it, but so does that answer your question? Some of it, but back to the money side of it. The first year I grossed $12,000 working Saturdays, cutting 6 yards. We went over 7 figures 2 years ago. So, and that was not by my plan. I mean, that was just.
That was God.
Yeah, I mean, I will say my wife will tell you, we worked pretty hard. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's a family business. We treat people right, and the people who are in the business with us that aren't family are like family.
We have time for one question. One more question. Anybody? Yes.
Before you go, I want your card.
Yeah, how do we reach you?
Okay.
Yeah. How do we get a hold of you?
I had a 25 slide PowerPoint we didn't get into, but I've got the scanner code on here, and that was my fault, and I apologize about that. But
I got you talking, which is
No, it's
gosh.
great. It's great.
Horrible.
I love to talk. And thank you, Miss Jan, for having me out tonight. But yeah, we'll get you a card.
Yeah, I was just curious. 2 questions related. Number 1, the guy that gave you $20, do you still know him? And number 2, did you pay it forward?
Absolutely paid it forward, time and time again. In fact, and I had no idea who he was when he walked up to me, and I still to this day have no idea. But I will say this: you talk about paying it forward. Yes, paying it forward, time and time again, yearly. But I keep 20s on me, and I give 20s out. And I think that's important because see, 20 I caught myself saying this. Maybe about 6 months ago. No, it was about 6 months ago. My wife and I were at the hospital. She had an eye appointment, and we were out in the parking lot. And a lady walks up to me, and you get approached by a lot of people. And the lady walks up to me. She's like, sir, you have my husband's upstairs. I've got to get him a sandwich. I don't have any money, and I can't get back in to get him a sandwich. And I'm like, I opened up my wallet, had a 20 in there, and I'm like, sure. And and sometimes it hits me more than others, but when I pull out that 20, I was like, I went back to that time when I was getting a 20, because I caught myself saying, well, what's $20? I'm like, oh my goodness, wait a second. $20. That rocked my world back, 10, 11, 12 years ago. But there was one time, I'll tell this real quick, Josh and I were going through McDonald's line, my son and I just talked to my crew, because we meet every morning at 6 o'clock with all the crews, and I try to instill in them my principles. And so I told Josh, we talked about being a giver and those kind of things in that morning meeting. And I told Josh, I said, you know what? And we went to the McDonald's line. There's a guy standing up here. This is in Madison. I'm like, man, I'm going to stop and give this guy some money. So I reached down in my wallet, and I was pulling out whatever came out. And I was like, 100? What the heck? And I caught myself fixing to put it back in. I'm like, and it was just like God said, you give that to him right now. And so I was like, and Josh's eyes got big, and he's like, I thought you were just going to give him a little money. I'm like, hey, look, if you got it and you pull it out and there's something inside that says you give it, then you just do it.
So Josh might be the beneficiary of this, but these are warm, squishy cookies from
Oh, sweet.
Tiff's Treats just around the corner. So this is to say thank you. Was this awesome?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
Who's gonna hang?